Today's part of our Business Spotlight program. I'm with Mark Morrissey. He's the managing director of the community pharmacy Morrissey's Medical Hall, and they're based in Carlow Town in County Carlow. So over to you, Mark. What is it you do, and for how long have you been doing it?
Hiya, Kevin. First of all, thanks for having me. It's lovely to be able to have a chat with you. It's always lovely to talk business.
Very
I'm the MD of Marcy's Medical Hall. We're 30 years in existence and second generation of the community pharmacy. So, God, my mom and dad, many moons ago, started up the business. And I suppose a testament to them, neither of which were pharmacists.
well.
Only the year before the legislation changed that actually a non-pharmacist could own a pharmacy. And at that time, my mum and dad being a farmer and my mum being a nurse, were on the cusp of deciding whether they would go into a bigger farm or something completely different. So an opportunity came up in Carlow, and credit to them. And I suppose what really led them to move into the community pharmacy was the idea of kindness. Two of them were incredibly kind people, and they felt that they could make a difference, and they said, "Why not?" And they took over from a really lovely man, and kept on one of his pharmacists that guided them into knowing how to run a community pharmacy. So
Wow.
yeah, I've taken it on 6 years ago with the guidance of my sister and of my mom alongside, and inch by inch, I've been putting my own stamp on it over that time. So
Fantastic.
yeah, and alongside that, I'm the founder of a new company called Different Width, which is a coach and consultancy company that's just started this year as well. So I have a couple of different hats on at the moment, as well as most importantly being a dad of two, a
Uh-huh.
husband, a brother of three sisters and one brother, and my mum as well who's still with us. So yeah, there's lots of hats, and I'm very proud to have them all on me.
Fantastic. Well, you're keeping yourself busy. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
And you've been growing over that time. What do you attribute your growth to?
Um, it might seem broad, but I would say genuine openness. Um, I feel when I started in the business, I went through a tough time myself of not knowing quite how to run it, and being vulnerable with that. And as time has gone on, I've allowed myself the permission to be more open, and with that, allow myself to say that I do know something and also I don't know something, because it can be pressurized when you're the decision maker, the main decision maker, to always feel like you need to know the answer. But yeah, through that time, I've allowed that freedom come in, which is it's reverberated really magically through the team. I feel that there's a lovely openness within my team, and we care for each other and we look after each other, and as a result we look after our customer, and it's really amazing how it reverberates through that inevitably helps your business. And that's just something that I would attribute the growth to,
Fantastic.
is yeah, genuinely letting yourself open up to knowing and not knowing.
Yeah, the feeling I get is the more I learn, the less I know. You know?
Yes, yeah, yeah, in a magic way, in a
Yeah,
magic way.
yeah. No, I think it was Da Vinci on his deathbed. He lasted till, it was either him or Michelangelo. I think it was Da Vinci, but he lasted to 80, which was a phenomenal age back in the mid 15th century sort of thing. And his apparently final words were, "Oh, I've so much more to learn." And like he was an inventor way before his time, artist, sculptor, hugely talented. And his whole view was, God, I got so much more to learn. Like, and
Yeah.
the lights are going out, you know.
I do use that word magic and wonderful, because I think when you have that reality of knowing that there is so much to know, but have the compassion and kindness alongside it, that you're not going to know it all,
Yeah,
and you can't expect yourself to know it all. I just think inadvertently it allows you to grow and grow others around you when you have an attitude like that. So I think when you have vulnerability at the start, Kevin, and expecting yourself to know everything. It can be a big barrier to change, and
Hmm.
it's only going through those tough times that you realize that actually you give a bit and give a bit of vulnerability and you show the team that you're human first rather than credential first. Yeah, I think it creates a more supportive environment, which is so important.
Fantastic. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I was at a conference, our global conference in Rio, actually last week. And they were big on this, building a community around your business. It's all about community now. No, it's always has been, but I think it's just been more emphasized now. And all the stakeholders that we should regard it as a kind of extended family type, which you've just described, in fact, So I think you're ahead of the curve.
I don't know, maybe, but it's nice to think of it that way. I feel,
Absolutely right.
like you, people are so important, and I just feel if you can look after one another and show kindness to one another, like it's something that genuinely only this week I would write a lot, Kevin. I believe in the old adage of pen to paper as much as digital world is in front of us, very much so, and AI in particular is taking us away from that time on task and nearly giving away your brain to AI to allow it to think for you. But I do genuinely believe in pen to paper. And it's only this week that I coined the phrase, kindness brings brilliance. And
Brilliant.
I just really feel that if you can allow kindness, you give a safety to people. And when people feel safe, they feel like they can be themselves. And when you can be yourself, you can open up. And when you open up, you can grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. No, I love it. Yeah. Okay. So then I suppose if you had to start from square one in business, what would you do differently?
This question has been asked to me before, and I remember answering it, and it's like, "Oh, Mark, you're off on one here now for the sake of trying to come up with an answer." And to be honest with you, Kevin, the, I wouldn't change anything.
Hmm.
I really wouldn't, because inevitably in life, business is a true depictor of what life is. There's good, there's bad, there's everything in between, and it's every one of those things that it facilitates for who I am right now sitting in front of you and who you are right now sitting in front of me. And I just think that if you can be grateful for those situations, they can you can really learn from them. Like if you regret is the one note that I would add to that is I just wish I acted a little bit faster towards my gut and my heart. I think the answers have been there, but through whatever reason, other influences or your own influence on yourself, overthinking something, you can stop yourself from leaning in appropriately. It can be misappropriate, and it could be 2 years down the line that you make the decision that you knew you should have made at the start. But yeah, I genuinely, if I was to put it on a continuum, 90% I would change, and that 10% would just be to act on it a little bit sooner.
Junior. Okay, yeah, fantastic. Um, and again, you've touched on a bit of it already, but what have been your biggest learnings, you've been as an employer since you began in business?
Give trust. I last year we thankfully had a really good year, and I I really let go of control as much as I possibly could. Respectfully, I'd say respectfully let go as much as I could to people that had shown capabilities, and I just wanted to see what they could do, and let them see what they could do with hope, not with I'm judging you, and if you fall, or I'm there to trip you up. I don't operate like that. But it's amazing what I found that like the business grew beyond what I would have been able to grow up myself as a result of allowing people the space and autonomy to make the decisions that their skill allowed them to. And
Fantastic. Yeah,
I think I think that trust piece is just it's just so important.
fantastic. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, huge. It's huge. If you have it in business, it's massive. If you lose it, so it's massive in the other direction.
It's true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how you mentioned you're a dad there to two kids and siblings and a mom still with you. How do you balance the your personal life with the demands of running a business?
Um, well, first and foremost, I have a wonderful wife. So, and I have two great kids. And do you know what? I just think that there's an appreciation within our network that we know that sometimes family comes first and sometimes business comes first. And I just think if you can always be open to that and keep the lines of communication open, like there's always going to be stressors, and there's going to be times when you need to be home early because the kids are sick, or there's times when just something falls in the business and you just need to be there. And I just think if you keep that line of communication open, you, I definitely won't say I've mastered it, but I feel very proud that I have given so much of myself to my kids at this point in their young stage of their life, considering the position that I'm in. And that's both fortunate that not everyone gets that reality. Like when you do have freedom when you own your own business. But at the same time, the easy thing to do sometimes is just keep being busy. But yeah, I'm doing good at it. I definitely could improve, and if my wife Denise was sitting beside me, she could definitely add in a few things there, maybe so. And equally so, if my team were sitting here as well, they might be saying another thing. But I suppose from my own eyes, I hope I'm doing a 7 out of 10 at the moment. Anyway.
I know when I answered that question a while back, I said what I might do is ask more questions. And my partner, she said, and you might listen to some of the answers. You know. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that was probably a useful add-on as well. Yeah. Um, then just go, I think you've kind of touched again on it, but what qualities do you look for in employees, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment? Well, you have been talking about that, but what do you look for in the employees?
what I've started to do, Kevin, which I personally am a very visual learner. Like I just love having diagrams. It's just the way my brain works.
Hmm.
I have dyslexia, so my mind operates a little bit differently. And with that, visual is very important to me. So, but when I am in an interview, I show people. If I, it's nearly something I can show here.
All right.
Pen and paper, it's always a great thing, and I never have it too far away from myself. But it's the three circles, and humility is one, hard work is another, and communication is another, and all of those in the umbrella around. I'll do my best, and it might not be able to be perfectly visible
Yeah, we
here.
can see it. Yeah, I see it there. Yeah, concentric circles there, yeah, or
Yeah,
overlapping, I suppose. Yeah.
if and bear in mind this is a continuum. I don't expect everyone to have these in a full portion of 100%, but I do hope that they have a leaning one side or the other. And I always explain it that I do look for someone that has a high level of humility, because I found in both working in the medical hall as well as other jobs that I've had, that when there's a high level of ego, it can be a huge barrier to be able to try and influence on people, and it can be seen as criticism rather than guidance. And that for me is just something that is really, really hard in challenging times. And for me, I feel that if we have that openness and have that humility to be able to say, like I said earlier, I know some things, but also there's things I don't know. I think it's just a great platform to spring from.
Mhm.
Um, the second thing is, and I jovially say, hard work. Like, I do not expect people to have to work past their time. I really don't. Like, we're very fortunate that we have busy, busy business inside in the chemist, and we're very fortunate to be able to look after so many people's health. And with that, if you don't have that hunger to work, you're not going to do your best by those people.
Mhm.
And what I found in my experience is that when you have someone that's lazy, it causes an us and them, and the us and them is I'm working really hard, and the other is I'm picking up the slack, and it's like I'm begrudging you because I'm picking up your slack, and it just causes a segregation in the team that it's just not nice. So the third thing is communication. Um, like we're in the healthcare business, and myself in particular now moving into the coaching business, like you're dealing with a lot of vulnerabilities. And I just think if you can have a genuine appreciation for how to communicate, encompassing knowing when to speak, knowing when not to speak and listen, and knowing how to speak to someone when they come into you, I just think can really set that person off, I suppose, realistically in a positive mindset towards their health. Because the reality is, Kevin, we're the last touch point between the doctor and someone going home with their medication. And if you can facilitate for them to feel like, one, they know what they're doing with their medicines, and two, they feel like, and most importantly, they feel like they've been cared for, it sends them off with an I can attitude rather than a can. And that's the beauty of what we have in the bricks and mortar building. We have people coming in sharing their vulnerabilities with us, be it chronic or acute. And if you can't wear that as a badge of honor in your role, you're not in the right place. But I'm very, very thankful to be able to say that we have all those people in my team that genuinely care about people, and they care about their team as much as they care about the customer. And the last bit of that diagram was the little center point, which was the middle C, and that is care. I really feel if you have a high level of humility, a high level of genuine want to work, and a high appreciation of communication, you'll really care for people. And
Mhm.
it's funny, Kevin, I know this might sound nearly a part of me does not share this, but I'll be honest. um, I lay it out to the people in the interview, and I say to them, by tomorrow, I want you to get back to me and let me know if these are things that you appreciate. And I say to them, I would genuinely appreciate you more if you said that you didn't care about these values, and you care about money and you care about other values, which is absolutely fine. And to say that to me that I'm not in line with that, than pretending that you are, and then you come in on board on the team and the act stops after month one, month two, and before you know it, you don't like me and I don't like you because we're caveating each other on, well, this is what you said you were, but this is what you're actually living up to be. And it's a really poor foundation to move off. So that's why I've come to share this in the interview. I've turned a few eyebrows up when I've said to them that, like it is a pinch point. Like if you don't, we won't move forward. But if you do and you fail to be that person, there's a probation period,
Mhm.
and it's my responsibility. Like I'm the gatekeeper of who comes in and out of the business. So if I don't, I genuinely take that very seriously.
Fantastic. Yeah. I know we got a whole bunch of sayings, but one of them is, people want to know that you care before they care what you know. And and it's kind of succinctly there what you're saying. But the definitely having that I suppose empathy with people, and it has to be genuine. As you say, you can't put on an act. It has to be genuine. And people will just spot it from your body language, tonality, anything like that. And the other one we have as well, it's kind of taken from Zig Ziglar, but the law of precession. The more I chase money, the further money gets away from me. The more I get people what they want, the more money comes to me at right angles. You know what I mean? So we call it the law of precession. You get out there, find out what people need, what they want, which can be different, and then work your best to get them that, and the money comes at the right angles, as I say. So but again, we've got millions of these things in an action coach.
But they're all appropriate, Kevin, and I
Mm.
suppose there's a multitude of saying it in different ways. But I just think if you start with human first, I think you can't go too far wrong. And even if you do go wrong, at least you've set out with the right intention.
Yeah,
It's easier to make an apology based on an intention that was heartfelt rather than not.
yeah.
And that's what I always say to the team. If we make a mistake inside, just own it because we know that we're trying to do the right thing.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And I suppose just to round off there, Mark, what are some common misconceptions about running a business and how do you address them?
How true this is, I do believe it to be true, but factually, it's impossible to categorize it. Um, some of the best ideas that were never fulfilled, unfortunately, live in the graveyard.
Well, yeah,
And I feel that people don't back themselves enough to be able to say that they can run a business. Yes, of course, there is people out there that might not have the potential to, but I have hope and I do have a feeling that there is so many more people out there that actually can do it than they can. Like Kevin, like when I mentioned tough time, like when I started off in business, like I went through 3 years of depression when I was in the middle of trying to figure out one, how to run the business, and two, be aligned with, uh, yeah, just the overwhelm of trying to figure it all out. And yet I still came through it, and I still managed to run the business in that time, still managed to be able to keep somewhat on top of it. But I just think that so many people will not back themselves. And I think, yes, it is hard, but it's also hard to be employed. I've been both sides of the fence, do you know? And I just think that I would hope that that reality of those beautiful ideas that are there become less and less. And I suppose that's the reason why I'm moving into the coaching side of things.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for that hope to enable people to give themselves the permission, really, to be able to say that they can rather than they can't.
Yeah, I know as a kid when I was in college, I used to work in a geriatric ward in a hospital here in Cork, St. Finbarr's, and I used to do night duty, 12 hours, 7 nights on, 7 nights off, which I thought was great because I could go partying for the week that I was off with 2 weeks' wages. So that was, my mindset at that time. But one of the jobs I had, because there were about 50 guys in the ward and the Dublin continent, so we would have to clean them all out, get them the tea, all that kind of stuff. They would all drift off to sleep at about 10-ish, at which time I was put down to accident emergency to be a bouncer because everybody who came in there was drunk at the time, particularly on the weekend. So we were trying to protect the nurses and doctors from assault, which was full on. But that all calmed down at about 2 in the morning. And we're at our lowest point between 2 and 4. And one of my jobs was to sit with guys who were dying. They were going out. And basically, in these wards, if you had money, you had visitors. If you had no money, you had no visitors. So that was my job to sit with these guys. And even as a kid, I was like 16, 17, 18, 19 type of thing. I must have sat with about 50 guys that were dying and the ones that were compass enough to be able to talk as they were going. And to a man, they only had one regret and that was what they hadn't done because obviously it's too late now. And they didn't care about stuff that had, crashed and burned gloriously. No, their relatives might have, but the only regret they had is what they hadn't done. So one of the things I learned out of that, I took that with me. I'm not going to lie in that bed and say I should have done such and such. And that's actually guided me in a lot, taken a lot of risks, and more have paid off than didn't. So I was grateful to kind of the learning from these men as they were going. But so listen, it's been absolute pleasure talking to you today, Mark. Fantastic stuff. There's some great stuff in there for our viewers. So again, thanks for taking the time.
It's been a pleasure, Kevin, and it's been really enjoyable. Yeah, thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you.